WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Hello, 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 and we have a very special guest today. One of my favorite people happens to be my daughter, Madam Alicia Bell, chairwoman of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. So we've got a few things to talk about this afternoon. She's going to talk about what she did at the Mackinac Conference. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Mackinac Policy Conference takes place every year, usually the week before Memorial Day. This year was a week after Memorial Day, but every year, sometime around that week before or week of Memorial Day, the Mackinac Conference takes place in Mackinac Island, Michigan. It's put on by the Michigan or the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. And it's an opportunity for local business leaders, politicians, and so on to talk about what they've done, but more importantly, what they're going to do and how they see certain things going on in our city, our state, and indeed the nation. So, welcome, Madam Chairwoman Alicia Bell. How are you this afternoon?
Wonderful. How are you today?
I am just obviously, I'm great. I am very, very good. I want to start off by saying, and I probably shouldn't even talk about this, but I really have to say this. Last week on Thursday and Friday, the Detroit Public School System let the children out for half a day or 3 hours early
Mm-hmm.
because it was hot.
Yes.
Because it was hot, and I know I'm old,
Mm-hmm.
but we never got out of school because it was hot outside. That is
Yeah.
quite, it's just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. I just had to say that. I just believe there are others who feel the same way. Open the
And they
windows
they
or
they
turn
uh, get
the
out.
lights out or you guys be quiet, read a book. But you don't get out of school 3 hours early or half a day because it's hot outside. Okay, I got that off my chest. Okay, now, Madam Alicia Bell, what happened at the Mackinac Conference?
Well, there were a lot of people there. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. There were a
Yes.
lot of people there. State legislatures, the governor, of course, the mayor, special guest, Mark Cuban, owner of, I think it's the Mavericks, Liz Cheney. So Bill Ford spoke. So it was a great event with a lot of people from the business community and also from the the political realm who are up there just talking about what they're doing, talking about how Michigan can go forward. There's an event that the Detroit Regional Chamber puts on every year. People all across the state attend, especially those corporation presidents and CEOs, nonprofit presidents and CEOs, and then all of our legislatures. So it was a good time had by all. A lot of great information, a lot of networking, a lot of connections were made. So it's always a good time to be around your fellow Michiganders in a beautiful setting such as Mackinac Island, which the weather was absolutely perfect. Those of you who used to go years ago remember when it was cold and rainy, but it was absolutely gorgeous this past few days at
Yeah.
Mackinac. About 80 degrees, maybe between 75 and 80 degrees, blue skies. So it was awesome.
That is, Mackinac is a beautiful island. And as the commissioner said, when I was attending the conferences back in the late 80s and throughout the 90s, it was always cold. That's amazing. It was always rainy and cold. And as you know, there are no cars on Mackinac Island. So everything is done by horse carriage. So if you were not at the main hotel, which is a grand hotel on Mackinac Island, you were at one of the outlying hotels and you actually got to your hotel by a horse drawn carriage. And some of them
Absolutely.
were way away and through the woods and so on. So yeah, but it's a beautiful place and they always have good speakers, good information, and good networking. I think the networking is probably the most important part because you get to see people that you don't normally see, but you also get to see them in a setting that isn't so formal. You get to kind of get to at least know people a little bit outside of the corporate arena and outside of corporate meetings and political meetings. You get to see them on the what they call the grand porch, where lots of business takes place on the porch. The porch is as long as the hotel, long, but must be at least 100 feet or more. But lots of stuff goes on that big front porch, and so you get to see people in a completely different light and get to have different opportunities to talk to them. But there were some things going on, particularly, Alicia, I'd like you to talk about the panel that you were on and what that panel was and who else was on that panel.
Sure. Had every year for the last few years, actually, maybe about the last 3 or 4 years, Rocket has put on a women in leadership panel, and it's been a great opportunity for women in the C-suite to come in and talk about what they're doing. And there's kind of an informal conversation about women in leadership. This year, it was myself. It was Christy McDonald from Channel 4. It was Nancy, who owns co-owner of Bass Blue, which is a women's, I'll call it a private
And we'll
club.
talk about that later too. I love it. We'll talk about that.
As well as the new president CEO of Cornwell Health. And Cornwell, of course, took over from Beaumont. They bought Beaumont. So it was a dynamic panel, the four of us, just talking informally about our road to where we are and giving some nuggets of information to the women and men who were in the audience on just our journey and how we got to where we are. Is just some words of wisdom that we've been able to acquire over the years. So it was a good panel. Good, always a good panel when we come together with women and we can kind of be a little informal, but still formally talk about our past and give some encouraging words to other women who are on the same path that we were. So it was a great panel. I was very fortunate and grateful that they asked me to participate. And next year is going to be, bigger and better every year. I told them though they always have high top tables and no seats because very informal. So I told you all need to get some chairs for women because we too old to be standing up and we have on heels and we want to sit down. So
Exactly.
they heard that message. So they'll have chairs next year.
Very good.
But
Gotta ask
it
for
was
what you
good.
want. Gotta ask for what you want because
Right.
they won't think of it, particularly because unfortunately men plan most of these things and they don't necessarily think about the impact it has on a woman and then the kinds of things that would make them comfortable. They really only see it through their own eyes of what makes them comfortable. So your panel with those four dynamic women, what was some of the conversation that went on that panel? For instance, a young lady from Cornwell Health, which used to be Beaumont. What did she talk about, and where is she from?
She talked about her journey specifically during the pandemic and what
Mm-hmm.
healthcare was like during the pandemic. While the other of us were at home on Zoom, being in the healthcare field, they were the frontline workers as we worked through COVID and the pandemic. So just talking about what that looked like for her nursing staff and the doctors and just their concentration on making sure they were providing the best in healthcare services during that most difficult time. So she's not from Michigan, but she's been here for a little while now, about a year, I believe she's been here. So we're ready to roll up her sleeves, get to know the community, and just really be a presence in Wayne County and throughout the state, actually.
Okay, excellent. And Christy McDonald, was she kind of the MC or was she one of the persons
She was one
talking?
of the panelists.
Yeah,
She was one
she
of the
was
panelists.
the panel.
Laura, who was a young lady from the Rocket Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert Foundation. She was the hostess or the host moderator, and Christy
Okay.
McDonald was actually a panelist. So she talked about her journey, and she had funny stories, especially like when she first became a news anchor, how she was young. And because she was young, they put on a ton of makeup on her face and dressed her kind of dowdy to make her look older. And so, she talked about her husband just passed about 3 years ago from
Mm-hmm.
cancer, and she has
Mm-hmm.
young adult children. So just talking about her journey through that and her journey through the news business and what she wanted to be when she grew up and what she actually became when she grew up. So it was very good information to hear her talk kind of freely about her journey through the journalistic life.
Good, good. What about Liz Cheney? I know she was there.
Mhm.
And for those of you who don't know who Liz Cheney is a Republican Congress or was a Republican Congresswoman from Wyoming. And she was defeated because she chose to not accept what many of those people who supported the former president supported. She knew real clearly that there was a riot and an attempt to take over our nation by force on January 6th. And she was a part of the January 6th committee, and she was a very vocal part of that committee. She is a conservative Republican. However, thank God we have people like her around who don't just buy the okey doke and don't just fall into the trap where people don't believe their lying eyes. didn't people saw what was going on January 6th when they tried to overthrow the Capitol and beat police officers and so on, and tried to deny that it existed. That's just so amazing to me. But she was one of those Republicans who did not deny it. And for her patriotism and for all of her work in doing that, they defeated her in her election to be a congresswoman in Wyoming. Sad, sad day. Sad day. So that's who Liz Cheney is, and she was invited to come to the Mackinac conference. Did you go to the session she was in, Alicia?
Yes, I did make the end of it, and I'll tell you, it was one of the most packed sessions.
Hmm.
When I came off the elevator, because I had an opportunity to stay at the Grand. So when I came off the elevator into the parlor, they had TV set up and it was quiet, which is never quiet
Hmm.
during the conference in the parlor where everybody's hanging around. They were quietly looking at her speak. So I went on into the theater and it was packed and she was really good. And I think she was one of the only speakers to get a standing ovation, and a lot of points where people clapped. So she was probably the highlight of the conference.
Hmm.
And that's because she had a different perspective, and people kind of really, like you just said, she was defeated for standing up for truth, and people really
Hmm.
admired that. I mean, she's a conservative Republican. Don't get
Yeah.
that part wrong, but she did recognize that something was not fix, and she made a point, and she said it what she's going to work on now, because they asked her if she's going to run for president, and she said, no, I'm not going to run for president, but I'm going to work to make sure we get the right type of Republicans in office, those who are not election deniers, and those who understood that January 6th did really happen and it was horrible, and for those who want to defeat and make sure that Donald Trump is not the nominee. So
Oh, very,
she was
very clear, huh?
so so
Didn't
that's
miss
gonna be,
words, huh?
yeah. So that was her mission. That will be her mission for the next 18 months. So at least that's good to know that she's not going to be supportive of the former president, thank God. But
Absolutely.
making, hopefully getting other Republicans to elected who don't see his point of view as well.
Yes, that would be a wonderful thing if we could make that happen. A wonderful, wonderful thing. Who else was there? You mentioned Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban from
Yes,
people know him
Texas.
from Shark Tank,
Yes, from
or
Shark Tank.
or the owner of the Mavericks. He used to own the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas as well.
Oh,
I
did
didn't
he?
have an opportunity to see him, but he was there. Bill Ford spoke. The mayor made an announcement about the new split tax. So there's going to be a lot of conversation as to what that looks like. If we can get that over the finish line, there's some
What
nuances.
is that? What did he say about that?
Pretty much your taxes will be lowered if you're a property owner, your buildings. But if you have a lot of land, your property will increase.
Okay,
So it's a
good.
way to kind of keep junkyards and use auto dealers and those kind of places in check, because their tax on their land will increase, but not their but the property taxes will decrease. So that's the overarching sum of it. However, I think it does need the approval, a constitutional amendment.
Oh,
So
was going to have to go on the ballot.
no, the state legislature by 2/3 vote would have to vote
Oh,
for it.
oh,
So that's,
2/3. Wow, wonder if we can get 2/3.
yeah, I don't know, because you think about farmers
Uh huh. Well, now
and,
would that be statewide or just for Detroit?
well, I'm sure if they're smart, they'll put something in it that says municipalities greater than 600,000. So that
Uh,
would just be Detroit.
Only be Detroit. Yeah.
So, but or counties, above 1.5 million. So I don't know how they're going to quite frame that, but that was his big announcement. And of course, the governor, she wanted to talk about how we can attract and retain young people to Michigan. That's
Yes.
her thing, is making sure that our young people, once they go to college, that they go away, that they come back, and if they
Mm-hmm.
stay here, that they go to college here, that they don't leave once they get their degree. So that's her big push, is making sure that we can retain talent here in the state of Michigan, and population, of course.
Absolutely, and that particularly population and the talent. But in order to do that, we probably need to have some exciting things for those young people to look forward to once they graduate, and to attract young people from different states
Yeah.
once they graduate. So we probably need to have a whole um, campaign of going to these other colleges and inviting them to come to Michigan, because we have so much. And I don't know if we do that already, but I know a lot of other schools come to Michigan to try and attract our young people to come to their states after they graduate. So we might want to think about doing something very similar, and even particularly municipalities like Wayne County. I know Wayne County has been struggling trying to get employees to just run day-to-day activities, and you put in place something that I think is going to help. Talk about what that is you're doing to try and attract people and keep people employees of Wayne County.
In November, I started the benefits and salary task force, just to take a deeper dive into what we're offering in our salaries and then look at our medical and retirement benefits to see what we can do differently to retain our employees and attract additional employees. So we've had several meetings since November. I want to wrap this up in July before we start our budget season, and then have some recommendations to the administration so we can talk about what we need to do to, again, keep people in Wayne County and then get more people into Wayne County. So we hope to have that work wrapped up in the next couple of 2-3 meetings, and it's already working because the administration has talked to the unions about some benefits that would be beneficial to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need to get some comprehensive conversations together to keep that line of communication open and to have those recommendations so that we can really see what we can do to get people. One, of course, is salaries. We got to pay people more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we need to also look at
And it's
the
related
medical
to
benefits.
salaries. Is it true that other counties and municipalities have been rating our people because they pay more?
Oh, absolutely. Macomb County takes our prosecutors every day. People go to the sheriff's office here, and then they go over to Washington County, or Oakland County. So yeah, and it's because we're the largest county, so of course we have the largest issues. So if you're in the prosecutor's office, you're going to have a caseload, this high.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to Macomb or Washington or Oakland, you not so much, and you get paid more. So just looking what we can do to, like I said, to keep our employees once they get all that great training that they get. What can we do to keep them here?
Okay. Okay. That's real important. Real important. What kind of positions are available right now? If there were people listening who wanted to come to Wayne County, what kind of positions do you folks have available now that they could apply for?
Court clerks over in the clerk's office. We're in desperate need of court clerks. Of course, sheriff deputies. We always need sheriff deputies. Prosecutor and attorney. So if you're a prosecutor, you're an attorney, you want to be a prosecutor, come up to our prosecutor's office. Those are the main ones that we really are in need of looking to fill.
Oh, okay. Do we still have summer jobs the way we used to 20, 30 years ago? But for young people to work
Not like we
interns in
used
the
to.
summer?
No, not like we used to. I mean, people can take on interns, but we don't have an internship program. Now, the Grow Detroit Young Talent Program that the city of Detroit has, I believe that some of those young people can work for the county because the county may be one of the employers, but the
Mm-hmm.
county doesn't have a internship program. If commissioners or a certain department or elected official wants to do that themselves, they can, but we don't have a quote unquote program where we're recruit interns for the summer. We need to probably.
Yeah, because and let me go way back, probably 30, 10, 20, 35 years ago, almost 40 years ago. I believe your sister and you served as summer jobs at the county.
Hmm. Yeah, I did in 19. I want to say it was before after my senior year in
Mm-hmm.
1986.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, it was great to have those opportunities. I'm glad that the GDYT exists now because
Yeah.
kids get to go all over the place, and my children will be partaking in that. But we need to make sure that the kids who want to work can work. I've had interns in my office for the last few years, but since COVID, I have not. But prior to COVID, I had an intern every summer for at least 10 years. And that was good for them to get some experience. And even one of them I even brought on as permanent staff after she graduated college.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a good program to get the feet in the door. And with our youth program, two of our youth, with the Wayne County Youth Program, two of
Mm-hmm.
our youth did interview with our fiscal agency for the commission, and
Uh-huh.
one of them will be working for the fiscal analysis this summer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we do have that pipeline that we can help the young people do for jobs.
That is absolutely great. And that's so important that we find ways to help young people participate and learn how to participate at an early age. So when they go away to college, they have a feel for work, some kind of work, and the demands of being able having to get up and be on their own. Because when they go away for the first time, it's a little bit strange for them to have to wake themselves up, but to get themselves to class and be on a regiment of studying. That freshman year is pretty tough, I think, for young people to get accustomed to. And so that those programs are really helpful in letting them get started on being on their own in terms of getting themselves up and getting to work and being at work for 4 or 5 hours during the day. Those are really important
Yeah,
things.
no, it's good experience, and everyone who wants to work should have an opportunity to work. So, and I think this program is doing quite well with that. So I'm happy that my kids are going to participate this year.
That'll be great. That will be just fantastic. Just fantastic. Now, what are some of the other things that are going on in your district that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, it's summertime,
Yeah.
so a lot of the community meetings are about to wrap up, but there's always so much going on. I have telegraphed to McGraw, then over to Finkel and Grand River on the north, and up to Dearborn on the south are my boundaries. And there's something going on all the time throughout that large boundary. Last Saturday, I was at Brightmore because they had an event in Brightmore with Reverend Larry Lewis. So you remember he said, I mean, not Larry Lewis,
The
Larry Simmons. He
yes, yes.
said hello. Larry
Oh,
Simmons said hello. He's
yeah.
doing a lot of great work still over in the Brightmore area. So
Okay.
myself and Representative Stephanie Young participated in a small town hall meeting with some of the residents over there, just to let us know what they're doing, and then for us to provide them some encouragement and some resources to really make sure that Brightmore can really develop itself. They're having a big meeting on June 15th. So if
Mhm.
anyone wants to come out to Godland Unity Church, that's where their meeting will be in the evening. Come out to that meeting to find out how you can be a blessing to Brightmore. I have Warrendale community meeting tonight, so
Okay.
I'll be going there. Warrendale had a resource fair last week before last, and they do a lot of great things in the Warrendale area. They bought a some land, and on
Mhm.
the land they have a wonderful urban garden. On
Oh,
another piece of land, they have a playground where they worked with Cahoots to get playground equipment, and now they're going to have another great venture that I can't speak of yet. But they're working on another great venture that's going to really keep that area transformed. So they do wonderful, wonderful work in Warrendale as well. So there's a
oh,
lot going on.
there's a lot going on. And for those of you who don't know where Warrendale is, if any of you know the school Rudderman that was on the Southfield Service Drive, just north of Joy Road. No, not
Warren
Joy,
Avenue.
Warren Avenue. It was torn down. It's been closed for years. I want you to know that they finally tore it down. Thank goodness. It was such an eyesore. It was such an eyesore. So I'm so glad the school system finally tore that ugly, ugly building down. I know the people in that community are very, very happy that it
Yes,
has been torn
absolutely.
down also. But
Mhm.
one of the other things going on in Warrendale, in collaboration with Cody Rouge Community Organization, is a senior citizens building is going to be built on Warren in the Cody Rouge area. And the executive director of Cody Rouge, Kenyatta What's Kenyatta's last name?
Campbell.
Yeah, thank you, Kenyatta Campbell, who's the executive director of Cody Rouge, just does a wonderful job of engaging that community and bringing resources to that community. And they are now in collaboration with a group that is going to be building a senior citizens home, a brand new senior citizens home in the Cody Rouge area, right on Warren. Can't remember the name of the cross street, but it's on Warren between Southfield and Evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a great opportunity for the community people in that area, particularly the seniors in that area, to have some really, really great housing. And so I'm really excited to be a part of the Cody Rouge Community Organization to help bring that to fruition. And while I'm talking about Cody Rouge, they have their 16th anniversary coming up in October. So you'll hear me talk about this every other week. So anybody who wants to get involved with the Cody Rouge 16th anniversary, let me know. We need sponsors. We need supporters. We need people to buy tickets to the event. It's going to be a wonderful event at the Garden Theater on Woodward Avenue. It's going to be a wonderful event. So mark on your calendars October 16th for the Cody Rouge 16th anniversary. It's going to be a great time. And
And
absolutely great
they
time.
had, and just to speak of how much they do in the community, they had a outdoor movie on Friday,
Yes.
which was so nice. Yeah, my son participated and helped prepare bags for the kids, and so that's just showing
Oh,
how important the community is. So they had it right there at their building, the outdoor little drive-in to
oh,
see
how
the
nice.
movie sing too. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so anytime if you see anything that has Cody Rouge name on it, know that it's going to be a wonderful, successful, safe opportunity for young people, old people, middle-aged people, all community people to get involved, to get outside, and to do some really nice things together. They do meal giveaways at Thanksgiving time, and they just do some wonderful, wonderful things. So Cody Rouge is a great organization. Kenyatta Campbell has done a magnificent job in bringing that organization to fruition. She and Dr. Butler started that group 16 years ago, and it has just turned into a phenomenal, phenomenal community organization. As a matter of fact, she's being honored. You can go down to the historical museum
Hmm.
and see pictures of people who have done great things in the city. Her picture is there as one of those people. So go to the historical museum this summer. They've got a great exhibit that talks about Detroit and people in Detroit. You will be very, very pleased and proud to see some of the things that have gone on in that era. It'll be wonderful.
Absolutely. And then when you talk about Wayne County, it's summertime and we have all our parks ready.
All
So we have
right.
a park system that is awesome in Wayne County. I'm going to read off a couple of things that are of interest. One is the Juneteenth Heritage Day. That's something new for us.
Yeah.
On June 17th, over at Naked Mills, we're going to have a Juneteenth celebration at 12 noon. So if you're available, come on out to that. On June 24th, the county executive will have his senior fun fest out at Naked Mills also. And something that's always fun for everybody near and far is Jazz on the River out at Elizabeth Park. And that's always fun. The whole weekend, that's going to be August 5th through 6th. So that's going to be a fun time to hear some great jazz music right on the Detroit River. So, and we have Chandler Park. So, if some of you are on the east side of Detroit who like to swim or go to a water park, we operate the only water park in Wayne County. Well, in Detroit anyway, and that's at Chandler Park. So make sure you do that as well. So a lot of great things are going to be happening in our park system all throughout the summer.
And that's so important that we have opportunities for young people to get exercise outdoors, to get away from some of these laptops sometime.
Mhm.
Get them outside exercising and moving, riding bikes, doing something, whatever that is, but get them outside. My granddaughter plays lacrosse, and they are practicing lacrosse throughout the summer. I think it goes until like August, I think. But there's also an organization that has young ladies who want to play golf. The LPGA, Ladies Golf Association, has a program through the Michigan Association of Golf that is giving free golf lessons to young girls who want to have free lessons at the Rouge Park. So if you have young people who want to get out, young girls who want to learn to play golf and learn some great skills that will carry them throughout their entire life, free lessons at Rouge Park. Just call Rouge for the dates. I think it's Tuesday and Thursday, but there's all sorts of free activities for children. I know sometimes people think, oh my gosh, I got to pay all this money. You don't have to pay that money all the time. Look for the free activities. Just call the Department of Parks and Rec for the city of Detroit. Wayne County has Department of Parks and Rec. They will share with you activities for young people that are free, so that you can get your young people involved in activities that are going to help them not only move around, but to help their brains. These activities aren't just for physical stuff. The physical is great, but it helps them think. Golf and lacrosse, you do have to think. It isn't just out there running or just putting a ball or slinging a club. You have to think in a lot of these sports. I went to my granddaughter's her lacrosse game, and it's interesting. They are just starting. I think Detroit is just starting with lacrosse. I think there are only 2 schools right now, maybe 1 in Detroit, and that's Cass Tech that has a lacrosse team, and it's relatively new. And so they have not done as well as they would hope, but they're doing better and better and better. But it's a new program. It's only about 3 years old. But they are competing. They're learning the skill. And you know how these young people do. Once they get it, they're going to be hard to beat. So I say to all these other schools, watch out. Because once Cass Tech gets their girls going, it's going to be a hard road to hoe, because they're going to wear you guys out.
Well, the varsity team went to the regionals this year.
All right. How about that?
The varsity, this is just the 3rd year that the team has been in existence, and they went to regionals. So that was like a great feat. So as the program keeps growing, the girls are getting better and better. They're going to be something to compete with. The varsity team was already kicking butt. So we got to get the JVs. Once they start learning the game, they're going to be next. They're going to be moving on up. Yeah.
Yes, they're all going to move up. And as we talk about sports, the Detroit school system did something new this year. For the first time, they had a student scholar athlete event. It was held at the Aretha, the old Shane Park, the Aretha. And it was very, very nice, because they had all the student athletes come. They invited them to come and to be able to bring guests. And they served them a boxed lunch, which was really very good. But they talked to them about how important it was to play a sport.
I think what she was saying was the importance of playing a sport and being an athlete all at the same time.
Yes, and be an athlete and succeed at schoolwork. That takes a very dedicated young man. That's a scholar. And so our young people I was very proud to see them. And they did the school system did a very good job on their first student athlete event. It really turned out very, very nice. And I must say that my grandson was one of those scholars, one of those student athlete scholars who was honored at that event. He plays soccer. Mm-hmm. He will be going into his senior year, but he also has a 4.0 while he's playing soccer. So, you can do this. My granddaughter plays lacrosse, and she too has a 4.0. You can play athletes and still be smart and a scholar. So don't let anybody tell you you can't be a scholar and an athlete. You can, because the young people proving it every day, and they're from all over the city. All our wonderful schools were recognized, and it was just a pleasure to see young people from all of our Detroit public schools being recognized for being an athlete, but also being a scholar. So it was a great event. We had a great time, and I just want to encourage parents and young people to get involved in your school system. Parents, know what's going on in the school system. Don't just send them to school And then when somebody calls you and tells you something, you're surprised. No, 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 no. That's not how this goes. You have to be an active participant in what goes on at your school with your child. Go to those parent teachers meetings. Just pop up at the school sometime to volunteer an hour or so. They would love that. So, get involved in what's going on in your young people's lives. And the last thing I want to talk about, though, Commissioner Bell, is the National Organization of Black County Officials. And I know you are a past president of that organization. And for those of you who don't know, the National Organization of Black County Officials is just that. It's an organization of and I believe there's 7,000 or 8,000 Black county officials throughout the nation. And Commissioner Bell is a past president of that organization. They were scheduled to have their annual National Organization of Black County Officials Economic Development Conference this year in June in Florida. Tell us what happened, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. So we were scheduled to have our conference June 20th to the 25th in Miami, Florida, hosted by Miami-Dade, Florida. But as many of you know, a few weeks ago, the NAACP issued a travel advisory to Florida based upon the horrible policies that the governor and the legislature has enacted. One, as it pertains to books and what can be read and not read as it pertains to Black people and brown people, LGBTQ books. I mean, they are just really trying to discourage people from learning. And because of all of that, we decided that we would pull out of our conference out of Florida because we're not going to be a part and give our money and our revenue to a state that doesn't respect what we do as a Black organization. So we postponed it to October, and we do have a location. We're going to be in Charlotte. So we decided to go to Charlotte and to really have a great time and Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't hear you. I don't know where your microphone is. I can't hear you. But go to Charlotte, and it's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be in October. Don't have the exact date, but it's going to be there. As soon as I get the date, we're going to make sure everyone knows. But we thought it important that we take a stand, and as a governmental body, as a government body of Black people, that we're letting them know that we're not going to partake in a state that has such horrible policies as it relates to Black people. I received phone calls from commissioners from Florida, and they were in agreement with us, and they were glad we were taking that stance. And they're going to publicize that fact as well, that see, because of these horrible policies that you all are enacting, we're losing revenue in our state. So they want to make some noise about it as well. So they're not mad at us for leaving. They understand, even though we're not coming to their great state, we're going to go somewhere that whose policies are in conjunction with the policies that we believe in as a Black organization.
I think that's great. I think that is just wonderful that you're taking that position. It sends a message, and hopefully other organizations will do the same thing. And we do know that some organizations who have already planned conferences, and it takes a lot of time and effort and money to plan conferences, can't pull out. But
Right,
I'm glad that you were able to pull out, and think that does send a message that what you're doing is not acceptable.
right,
And we're going to
right.
express that by holding on to our dollars and
Yes,
let you know that it is not acceptable. And the National Organization of Black County Officials represents millions of people across this nation. So that I think will send a great message to say to the governor and the state legislature down there, you might do it, but you're going to lose because you're doing it.
right. Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So we were happy to send that message, and we're going to take our dollars elsewhere. So.
I think that's a great thing, a great thing. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Commissioner Bell, before we end?
Well, I do have my picnic coming up on July 13th, my annual Even in the Park legislative briefing, and it's going to be at the Warrendale site of Hines Park, right off of Warren and Telegraph area. So if you're out and about, 5 o'clock on Thursday, July 13th, come by and see us. We're going to have great food, great fellowship, a lot of resources. I'll talk about what's going on in Wayne County, from our juvenile detention facility to my prom dress event that was awesome earlier this year, to our criminal justice center that will be opening within the year. So we're doing some good things, and we've done some great things that we want to talk about with our American Rescue Act dollars, ARPA spending, and what we've done with those funds. So come on out July 13th at the Warrendale site of Hines Park and hear me talk about the great things going on in Wayne County.
I love it. You just mentioned one last thing I'd like to mention, and that is the ARPA dollars. Part of the package that was agreed to by the Democrats and the Republicans so that we would not default on our debt as the United States was that they would pull back ARPA dollars that had not been spent. We spent all ours, correct?
We have them someplace where they're safe.
There you go.
So yes,
they are committed.
They are committed. Yes,
that's a good thing. For those communities that did not do that, shame on you.
Yeah, but ours are committed to help with our residents in Wayne County with the 42 communities, because Detroit got their own pot of money. But although we have helped generously with our money in Detroit, such as with Motown Museum, we've given to that. We've given to the Joe Louis Greenway. We've given to several projects in Detroit as well. So we're helping the entire Wayne County.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Bell. Thank you so much for being on. What we didn't talk about, we'll have to talk about another time, is the Women's Commission and their event that was held not too long ago, that I think was a great success, and congratulations to the Women's Commission for their success. We'll talk about that and maybe have their president on to talk about, or their chairperson to talk about that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bell, for being on with us. We appreciate it. Thank you, listening audience, for listening to the Community Bell Show. Again, we're always happy to have you. And remember, if it's Monday at 4, it must be the Community Bell Show. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we will see you next Monday at 4. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit.
Hey y'all, summer is coming. We want to remind you of the WVTC. Wash your hands. Stay updated on your vaccinations. If you got a temperature, get a COVID test and cover your cough. We're on a mission, so don't let COVID stop you. Here's just one of the fine programs right here on WVTC Detroit. We are WVTC Detroit. What it is, we're gospel music, preaching, teaching, inspiration, encouragement, news, and guest interviews. We are what it is. WVTC. We're winning victories. What it is. Through Christ. WVTC Detroit. All up in the community. That's who we are. What Here's just one of the fine programs right here on WVTC Detroit.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.